fellow students, we wanted to share about our experience in Bossey. And for that, we will firstly start by introducing ourselves, because it also describes how Bossey is full of diversity and different people. So I would like to start with Sister Chris Anthony to present herself.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sister Chris Anthony Ndekani, a Roman Catholic nun from Nigeria.
I'm Zlatko Vujanovic. I come from Serbia, and I belong to the Orthodox Church in Serbia.
My name is Reverend Bossey Obio. I am from the Presbyterian Church of Nigeria.
My name is Philip Nyam. I am from the Baptist Church, and I come from Nagaland, from Northeast India.
I am Lado Tsifridze from Georgia and belong to Georgian Orthodox Church.
I am Emma Van Doop from the Protestant Church in Switzerland. And as we wanted to share about and reflect about our 10-month experience in Bossey, we firstly wanted to talk mostly about how we arrived in Bossey, what happened when we arrived, like at the beginning. And I remember that, Philip, you used to talk about arrival and how you felt about it. So can you share about this for me, please?
Well, I had little apprehension before I came to Bossey, thinking the kind of people I'll be with, the new culture, and the thoughts of living with the diverse faith traditions. However, the moment I reached Bossey, within no time I could feel the belongingness. There is nothing to worry about in Bossey. I observed that it is a safe environment because of the fact that Bossey has dedicated and friendly professors and staff who are eager to listen to our problems and also to our success. They all make sure that we are fine and comfortable here. So it is a home away from home.
Thank you. And I also remember that you talk about arrivals, but I also remember that we all arrived between September and October, but Zlatko, you arrived in July, right? And because of English course?
Yes, exactly. I arrived among the first students here because I was the only one among our master fellow that took the English course during the summer last year. So it was a big honor and privilege to me to be a part of the English course here at Bossey, called English as a tool for ecumenical formation. So during the whole summer, I was among nine my fellow colleagues who come from all around the globe. So we studied English together, but at the same time, we really learned about theological and specifically ecumenical terminology and vocabulary. And I really enjoyed my time here while I was learning.
Thank you. And it seems like you and Philip, you're talking about how beautiful it was arriving here. But I also think there were some challenges when we arrived. And I remember that you, Sister Chris Anthony, you had some of these challenges, didn't you?
Of course I did. Thank you. The arrival challenges were, for me, there were three. I have food challenge. Coming from Africa, we have a different type of food typically. And so the first challenge I had when I came was to adapt to the food system, and I had to adapt to it. I come from the hottest part of Africa, almost. Nigeria is very hot. And then coming to Switzerland, that is cold, and it was a winter. So it wasn't easy at all. It was very challenging, but we overcame. The third challenge was community. I have lived community life as a nun for 24, 25 years, but it was a different setting. The situation in Bossey is a global and ecumenical community comprising of people from different contextual backgrounds, different church traditions, and different countries. And men and women. In my community as a nun, we are all women. So it was a new and unique experience for me. But these challenges were easy to overcome. We were able to overcome them personally through the help of the Bossey staff, especially the hotel managers. They were able to make us feel at home. During the orientation week and always whenever they see us, they smile at us and they want to find what we need and make sure that we are well. From the food, you have a lot to choose. You can make your choice as from what you want, and they make it look good for you. The food was also good. And the hotel management, they were inserted into the community. We became one. I experienced it. So it was a very encouraging situation, and we are grateful to them.
Thank you, sister. And I also feel like, I remember that Philip, you also had another kind of challenge, because you, Sister Symphony, was more about community life, how it would change. And Philip, it seemed like it was also cultural challenges, didn't it?
Thank you. Yes, very, very much. I come from a community-oriented society. In Nagaland, we live with the community and the community lives with us. But here, the nature of the society is little individualistic comparing to my society. Initially, it was difficult to live because I could not be myself. But gradually, I could adapt to this culture, and I was able to introduce and influence my colleagues with my culture. So after 2-3 months, everything was fine.
So it seems like your cultural challenges were actually also part of challenges from the community, but was also a way of bringing into a community differently. And in that way of talking about community, I know that I remember, like, we also did a lot of things for the community, like doing some sport together. We have like a Bossey sport team, and that, like Zlatko, you were kind of our coach, and you really like community building. And why do you like community, and how did you bring it, like, you among other people, make community alive in Bossey?
For me, it was very important to build the community, not only during our academic obligations and lectures, but I also wanted to build up our community life through some sportive activities. Bossey running club, and then after that we ended up as a Bossey cycling club, because this area, I think it's a perfect place for going around, riding a bike around, or just running and doing the sport activities to come closer to each other and to learn, because behind every one of us there is an important story to tell. But apart from that, we also tried to bring that community life into our everyday life through the living room. So we used that opportunity at Petit Bossey to hang out together, and sometimes so-called ecumenical drink, or some even scholars call it like kitchen ecumenism, or ecumenism in the kitchen. So all those things helped us a lot to build up this Bossey community during our studies.
Thank you, Zlatko. And while you were talking about community, and exactly as you said about sport and about biking and about this kitchen, ecumenism in the kitchen, it also makes me think of another way of talking about community. Like, I have this image that community is like, in Bossey, is like a continuous church service. Like, we had almost every morning morning prayer, and we were together praying, reading the Bible and singing together. But it didn't stop just like for 20-minute prayer in the morning. It also was beautiful because we continued that outside of the chapel of Bossey. we were every day, people were singing in the corridors or in the after class, or so praying for each other. We keep doing that also with our fellow students, the ones that have stayed for a semester with us. We were 32 students, if I'm right. And we were always like together, and we also know that we have a WhatsApp group now, and when we pray for each other and we care for each other, so we continue praying together. And for me, this is also how this community is unique, because we are brothers and sisters, like a true fellowship that is really continuing every day fellowship. But I also remember that, for example, for you, Obio, it was more of a community that was also brought by the help of the teachers, wasn't it?
Our community experience with our professors, our teachers, was very unique and very helpful. Our professors and teachers, not only that they are very, very knowledgeable in the course content, they were also very, very helpful and skillful in the way they combined and used appropriate teaching aids and teaching methods to help us to learn well, irrespective of our different learning abilities. They helped us to achieve our learning goals. Their humility, their readiness to assist us, help us, listen to us at any point in time we call on them was very remarkable. I tell you, Bossey is where you come and you are sure you will achieve your academic goals because of the wonderful professors we have around. Let me also call on my colleague, Lado, to add to it. Lado?
Thank you, Obio. I agree with you that for me it was very exciting to see that how professors they love their subject and what they are doing, and it seems that they are not doing this because of this is the only work for them. They are devoted and they love this really, and it affects on the student in a very positive way and encourage them and makes them to follow the professors and to learn about ecumenism more. And there is variety of the modules, and the student can find the subject which are close to his heart, as it happened with me. And I discovered the ecotheology, which I like too much. And they are really very professionals and very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lado, for talking about community with teachers, as Obio you talked about. And we've been talking about community through teachers and through the hotel staff and through ourselves, the students that helps make that community of Bossey live. But I also think that we should mention about the geographical place of Bossey in itself, because it's an enriching place. But as a Swiss person myself, I'm not going to talk about it. But I think that like Sister Chrysanthemy should talk about it, because she has also enjoyed really that place.
Bossey is very unique to me because of its geographical situation. Where it is situated is very much natural. It's like, for me as a nun, I see it as a second monastery or a retreat house that helps. It's very good, very cool. It has a lot of natural space, beautiful. And what are the things that made it geographically enticing? One is the lake. We look at it and we see the lake where we normally go for breaks when we read and the brain is hot. We go down to the lake to cool off. And the lake gave the Bossey a very good and natural view. We also get some cool breeze from there. And Bossey is also in between two cities. We have Nyon and we have Coppet that also leads to Geneva. These are areas that we even bike to them because they have very good roads, clean and smooth. We can walk, we can run, we can bike and go down to them. So the nature of Bossey is very beautiful. And more again, We also have Bossey provides us a peaceful environment for study. You have quietness everywhere, and you can only hear the voice of birds and the moans of the animals, and we see them. So we are alive with nature, and it is very beautiful.
So thank you, sister, for having talked about the geographical place. And I also think that we should talk about the lectures and the classes, because that also is a big part of our Bossey experience, that it is not only about community life, but also all that we learn. And for example, we had one lecture, which was the main one. It's the history of the modern ecumenical movement, where we would learn about the whole history of the modern ecumenical movement. But what makes it enriching to learn about this, not just in a book, but in Bossey, it's that we had teachers that are from different backgrounds. We have an Orthodox point of view, a Catholic point of view, a Protestant point of view. And then we also, at the end, we had a few classes on interreligious studies and way perspective of on interreligious with people that are teachers in Geneva. So we had different perspectives, and we learned a lot about the modern ecumenical movement, what they did in the past, how it came to happen, but also in the present in itself, what are they doing today? When we were talking about the challenges, I also want to mention that there was one challenge. Often it was in one class, it was more of a seminar, it was called Intercultural Biblical Seminar. And this one was always a bit more hard, because we would take a Bible text at the beginning of the class, read it together, and then be in small groups and see how the intercultural way of understanding the scriptures was affecting our understanding, actually, how cultures were, yes, making our reflection on the scriptures different. It made me learn how there's a whole bunch of perspectives on the scriptures, and how interesting it is to see the different perspectives, because it also puts your perspective into question. Why do you believe in that way? Is it affected by your culture or by your own faith or things like that? And in that sense, it was a challenge, but a good challenge for each one of us, I think. And we got to discuss like in front of each other and really together about these texts. You also, Zlatko, wanted to say a few things about it, about your experience, didn't you?
Of course, I would love just to share with you something about our so-called seminars or modules. Namely, each of us was called to choose one of the 4 modules that we have apart from our core courses, and so we had a big choice. We had ecumenical biblical hermeneutics, ecumenical missiology, ecumenical social ethics, and ecumenical theology. My experience was really enriching, because during those 2 modules that I followed ecumenical theology and social ethics. So it was so enriching, because we really had an opportunity to have very vivid discussions among ourselves. An emphasis was on our active participation during the whole lectures during the first semester. And apart from that, we also did have personal presentations of some specific topics. So it was very good to see how other colleagues presented their topics in their own way. And after each of them, we had a very dynamic discussion after that. So sometimes it was extremely dynamic, so the professors had to handle all those situations. But at the end, it was very, very important for me to be part of this module, which, as Lado said, we chose regarding the closeness of that subject to our heart.
Thank you, Zlatko. Thank you, everyone. Another very essential aspect of Bossey is the prayer life in Bossey. Here in Bossey, we are kept together in constant ecumenical prayer. We pray together. We use different liturgies prayer liturgies from different church traditions. We are made to learn how other church traditions pray, and we pray together with them. In this way, we learn to understand that we are all one in God. In fact, this ecumenical prayer life in Bossey helped us to actually overcome the prejudices some of us have been having against other traditions. It also actually was a very great experience of spiritual ecumenism here in Bossey. In fact, it helps to promote the visible unity that we are all pursuing in this ecumenical journey. Let me allow my colleague Lado to speak about the prayer life at Teze community. Lado?
Thank you, Obio. Our visit to Ecumenical Monastery of Teze, it was one of wonderful experience of my life to see the lot of young people from around the world, from different traditions. They were together praying to listen to chant, the music, prayer from different tradition, and to be together and to praise God. It was amazing experience, and I suggest to everyone to visit this wonderful place. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Lado, for sharing. It was a very personal and spiritual experience from your side. And apart from that, Teze monastery, which was part of our study visits, we also visited Swiss parishes. So we were able to join their life, and that was one of the very unusual experience for us. And apart from Teze and Swiss parish visits, we also had one extraordinary trip that was actually our study visit to Rome. So 1 week, which were full of different visits in the eternal city, in the city of Rome. And I want to mention that we also had a meeting with the Pope, with some cardinals, with professors. So we visited some academic institutions there and museums and the old churches. So that also helped us to feel that invisible unity, which I think all of us experienced it during all those our community life, specifically during our visit to Rome.
Thank you, Zlatko. And I think we should talk about the library. What do you want to share about your life in the library as you're doing it again today?
I'm not spending my whole life here, but the majority of my stay here at Bossey I spent here, and I really enjoy it. I'm right now at our library, which is a unique one because here you can find a lot of resources and even some important documents related not only to ecumenism but broader. So everything that you need, you can easily find it here. If not here, then by the help of our librarian Pedro, we can get all those books, even some who are across the oceans in America or Australia. So it was very easy for us to get all those books that we need, especially during writing our master thesis here. For me, it was unbelievable experience just to spend my time here, to get to know more about the resources itself. I also tried to read in different languages. All those made me to feel something which I called academic joy. So I really want to express my big gratitude to our librarian and also to all my colleagues who spent the time with me here. And it was really interesting and a real academic joy.
Thank you, Zlatko. And now you're talking about our master thesis. I think, sister, you wanted to talk about how it helped you to write the master thesis.
Yes, thank you. In line with what Zlatko experienced from Pedro in the library, is also what I experienced from our supervisors who supervised our thesis. They really helped us a lot in accompanying us on the writing journey. In the first place, the pandemic period was like a blessing in disguise for us because we have full attention on our writing. Secondly, the supervisors helped us to write qualitative writing instead of quantity. A tool that was useful for that was the word limit of 10,000 words. So you really need to read wide, but you have to write concretely to the point. So it was very helpful. So that is the aspect that was meaningful for me. In my period in Bossey, I developed my writing skills, and I'm sure all of us did, thanks to our dear professors and supervisors.
Thank you, Sister Chrysanthony. We're just at the end of our 10-month experience here because we actually sent a master thesis a week ago. I know that a few of us have an image of how is Bossey as a whole, and I wanted to start with Obio. You had something to say about that, didn't you?
Thank you, Emma. I must confess that my entire stay in Bossey was wonderful, and I can capture it with this imagery I call from tears of pains to tears of joy. From tears of pains to tears of joy. Tears of pains, in a sense that the decision surrounding my coming to Bossey was very difficult. For me, I had to leave my loving family behind, my loving wife and children. I had to leave my only job that was sustaining the family. It was not an easy decision, but it was just surrounded with pains and tears. But I must say that my 10 months experience here in Bossey, the level of formation has actually left me with what I call tears of joy. I am going back with tears of joy. I have been so impacted upon so that I have found fresh vision, fresh direction of my calling and ministry in the ecumenical movement. I thank WCC for this. I thank our professors, Bossey. I thank every supporter of this vision. And indeed, I encourage everyone who is interested in studying ecumenism to come to Bossey and experience this great joy. Thank you so much. I call on Philip to also add these images.
To me, Bossey is like another book of the New Testament. Here we feel the love, we see the love, and we share the love. In essence, it is a community of love. The Christian virtues of love, peace, kindness, and fellowship are truly practiced in this place. I also consider Bossey as I also see Bossey as a window to salvation. Here, nobody has the self-oriented motives, but we talk about a collective journey. It is like a pilgrimage. Everyone strives for fellowship and unity through mutual understanding and respect. I not only learned about the other faith traditions, but it also taught me to redefine, to renew, and rethink my personal faith and change my outlook towards Christianity.
Thank you, Philip. I think I also have similar experience with you and Obio in your images, because I have in my mind Psalm 126, what marvels the Lord has worked for us, indeed we were glad. I think that is a song of joy that is in me as I use the image of farmers and farming and harvesting. As Obio said, when farmers are going to farm, from my African background, if we are going to farm, we are not happy because we are going to get tired and work very hard, and will go with long and sad faces. But during harvest, you go to the farm, you are coming back carrying the fruit of your harvest. So in that psalm, it says they go out full of tears, carrying seed for the sowing. But they come back full of joy, carrying their sheaves, carrying the harvest. So another image for me is the image of people who go on retreat. When you live your life and you are tired of a lot of stress and burnout and confusions, we go for retreat in order to renew ourselves and transform our inner life. So for me, Bossey is a long 10 months, for me, Bossey is 10 months retreat. Because going on retreat, we go and we lay all our burdens at the feet of the Lord through the help of the retreat director. Here, the retreat directors were our beloved professors and all the staff of Bossey, and then one another as colleagues, because we influence one another to shed off our prejudices and then get renewed. So the experience of Bossey, I cannot finish talking about it. And I use it to encourage everyone. If you need renewal, if you need ecumenical stamina, come to Bossey. It is a good place for you. And you will have your 10 months retreat that will renew you and energize you to walk in the vineyard of the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Chrysanthony. And exactly as you said, I completely agree. And also with the images that Obio and Philip have said, and all that we have said, it's very good to have been together right now and reflect on our experience together and to get to discuss together about it and all the subjects. And I wanted to conclude this part by, as Sister Chrysanthony was saying, also makes me think of, to whomever is listening, watching this time of reflection that we've had together about our experience, if you have an ecumenical heart, desire to bring ecumenism to your country, to bring ecumenism to your home, to your kitchen, wherever you are, then come to Bossey and live this experience, because it is a retreat where you get to, your seeds become fruits, and then your dialogue becomes fruitful once you go back wherever you go after Bossey. You're all welcome here.